Well, it's early in the morning here in the UK, about 3 o'clock. As usual, can't sleep. I was sat here in my work um, chair, I'll say work chair, my chair at the bench, doing a bit of basing, mainly just putting filler around the figures. And I had a bit of a thought that I want to have a conversation with you about, and any feedback in the comments below would be quite interesting. But first things first, it may contain yawning, this video, as per usual. Also, I'd like anybody who comes across this to subscribe if you're interested in the content. Do check out other content on the channel. So much appreciated. So yeah, that's the housekeeping in order. So anyway, what was I thinking? When I was sat here thinking, what makes you buy the figures that you use for wargaming? Is it the quality? Is it the price? Is it your interest in history or interest in fantasy? Is it nostalgia? Or just impulse buys? Yeah, that was my thoughts. So I'm going to share those thoughts with you. How I see things from my side of the hobby. Well, impulse buys, I think we've all been guilty of that. The latest craze that comes along that's being promoted through magazines and companies. We've all done a bit of that in the past. I'm trying to do it not so often now, unless I really am interested in it. So the impulse buys earlier on, years ago, were quite prevalent, but now I've stopped that due to the fact I haven't got disposable income. So for me, that's one thing that I think everybody gets into a habit about. The other thing is, why is it historically something I'm interested in? Well, predominantly yes. I'm a big fan of your Western games, your Wild West, Plains Indian Wars, English Civil War. I've always been interested in that. Some ancient stuff for the late Roman occupation of Britain and that sort of thing. Arthurian stuff, which is about that period anyway, allegedly, historically. So yeah, there's that. And then there's one or two obscure bits I've got into. So that's the historical side. The fantasy side, yeah, I've always been into Games Workshop. I think that's the best known system company, rules, that most people know about, and most people probably would have got into the hobby before doing historical stuff. So there's that. For me, it's a lot of nostalgia for that, from the enjoyment I had when I was younger, the awe that I had for the new figures that were coming out in the 80s, travelling down to a shop just down the road from me on my push bike, going in to see what was in, seeing what I couldn't afford even then, the displays in the shop window. Yeah, it was a whole thing. I think that was that sort of boom period of when Citadel miniatures were there. I also remember discovering English Civil War figures that were done by Foundry. That's 40 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, so I first came across the historical side of stuff, loved the English Civil War figures, still think they're lovely now. I also remember vaguely that there were some Romans and Celts done at the same time, but those disappeared off the ordering system quite early, and then the next range that came out from that was Franco-Prussian War. So for me, it's more historically, what I'm interested in. I love Vikings, Saxons, and all that lot. I don't think there's many people that don't. But yeah, so yes, it's interest for me. Sometimes nostalgia. I do like a lot of the old, Citadel stuff. I'm not such a big fan of the plastics, but they are useful for conversions onto metals and things like that. But predominantly, I like my metal. When it comes to me choosing figures, what do I go for? Well, for me, it's quality, the crisp detail, things like that, anatomically, correct, if you can call that for fantasy. There's that sort of thing. But for me, it is quality and detail. Some of my favourite companies, aren't the cheapest companies to purchase stuff from. I'm a big fan of Foundry. That may be a bit of nostalgia as well, because they were some of the first figures I bought, but they're still available. For me, it's ease of getting hold of them because it's not far from me if I want to go and collect stuff and purchase stuff in person. Excuse me. I can always go down. Also, even if I order them, I've usually got that order within 48 hours of being relatively close, unless it's exceptionally busy there. So for me, it's ease, but I do like the quality of figures. So say some of their figure ranges are really old, but still going strong today and stand the test of time. So there's those. Perry miniatures, I do like them. Price range, they're reasonable. Foundries, the more of the top end of the scale, but again, I don't mind paying that for the quality. So yeah, they're a couple of my favourite companies. I do like First Core Miniatures. They're their own stylised version of things, but they do have some character to them. They have a decent range of different periods. So yeah, there's those, and then you've got the stuff that you can get from North Star, which are various different companies. Some of the Warlord stuff, I do like their stuff. They do resin stuff and things like that. Well, resin for me, I'm not a big fan of. I mean, I bought a couple of things and one of them's already got broken, which I did on a previous video. So they're a bit too fragile. You can't straighten them back out and things like that. Either crack, snap, or whatever. So I'm not a big fan of that. So yeah, so there's that sort of things I like. There are a few other companies out there, but for me, it can determine how much I buy due to the cost. So we don't have that much expendable income. So I do pick and choose and order bits and bobs every now and then. So that's my historical side of stuff. I mean, there are other companies out there I've looked at and think they're nice, but I've not necessarily ordered them. Fantasy-wise, I'm more always on the search for the older Citadel stuff, so that can vary in price. And obviously it's all second-hand market. It's not very often you find any of the stuff unless you go down to a Warhammer shop. Excuse me. And at the moment, some of the metals aren't badly priced. They're more than most people, but still not badly priced. But the plastics, I think, are very well overpriced. I understand tooling costs and things like that, but I'm not a big fan of plastics, I'm afraid. So yeah, I'm always on the search for Citadel stuff. Obviously, we all know that isn't cheap, especially through eBay and various things now. So yeah, And I think they still have got the quality, and a lot of them still stand the test of time. And it's purely nostalgia, probably, more than anything else. There's a couple of other companies I do love to order from. There's Die Miniatures, run by Tim Prow. They do some really nice sculpts. Got to admit, I've got a few of those, and I'll be featuring those on the channel soon. Another company I really, really like is Sator Art Studios in America. I've always been reluctant to order from America, and it was first ever company I've ever plunged into ordering stuff. And to be fair, I've been really happy. With the service, Drew does a great job. He does some lovely sculpts, and I've got to admit, there's some nice, tasty miniatures he's doing at the moment. Same as say, it was the first company I ever ordered from in America, and so say I've had no issues at all. Turnaround time can vary depending on how busy Drew is, or the postal service, or shipping service. But most of the time I've had them within 2 weeks, sometimes a little less than that. So yeah, happy with that. Price wise, they on average, I wouldn't say they're overly expensive. It's same with Die Miniatures. Some people might think they're expensive, but for me, I don't mind paying the price because I'm getting the quality, and I don't think they're overly expensive. So yeah, fantasy wise, I looked at that. There's been a few other games. One of my other favourite games from 20 odd years ago, when it first spilt out onto the market, was Flintlock, the original set of rules. Matt Cox said, bless him, good shout out to you, mate. It's all your fault I got into that and started doing demo games of it years ago. But yeah, I found that really fun. The background fun. The figures are still available through Alternative Armies now, which is based in Scotland. Turnaround time's usually about a week. Quality's still there, and it's all metal, and the prices are very good. I can't really knock the prices at all, and a great service. So so that's sort of the companies I go for. The background of the game tends to draw me into the fantasy stuff. I play for fun. I don't do any competition gaming. Never interested me. And the experience I've had with competition players at a war games club I used to go to, which had a group of guys that joined that were all competition players, it wasn't a fun game if ever you played against them. They were all out to win. They didn't play for fun. Their armies were tailor-made just to destroy you. So it became a negative to playing Warhammer Fantasy Battle at the time. That put me off playing that for a little while. Warhammer historical stuff, like the Ancients, the Warhammer Legends, the Old West. Love playing those too. I've got the High Seas Pirate one. I've got figures for it. I haven't got around to playing that properly yet. Want to. And then there's various other historical issues. I've got the Age of Arthur. I've got quite a few of them, to be fair. So that's always driven me. Simple set of rules, really. Simple game mechanics. That has to be key for me. I ain't got time to be bogged under loads of charts and this, that, and other. I just want something that's nice and simple. I'm not saying that all the GW games haven't got holes in them and clunks in them, because as with any set of rules, whether they've been written, for gaming or whatever, there always will be holes, loopholes, and clunky mechanics in it. So yeah, you've got that. I really, really enjoy them games. Another game I love to play, historical wise, was Pig Wars, it was called. I think they've just re-released a set of rules, and you can get that through Caliber Books in the UK. And they have to order them in especially because it's on its second edition now. I love playing that. That's driven by cards. we've got a set of cards amongst us that have names on for the warband, so you get a warband. You've got distance determined on what you're wearing or weapons you've got. And then the random outcome is by a deck of cards on those, the additional rules I've got. So you've got the variabilities there, and then you've got your pluses and minuses for what you're equipped with, or excuse me, or the situation that you're in. So yeah, that's always been a good, fun set of rules. Again, like I said, the original Flintlock rules, where it was all run on percentages, but pretty simple. Fun narrative games. If you had a GM, that could be quite fun if they played it in the right aspect of fun for the game. And I remember having lots of fun playing that. And it's something I'm going to resurrect probably through this channel. Get some of the guys to play. So yeah, I mean, wargaming, we all know, can be expensive or as cheap as you make it. That's my expressions or my feelings on the companies I use. For me, it determines really, for the figures wise, quality, not necessarily the price, but for me it's quality, availability, turnaround time, and basically historical or the fantasy background that I'm interested in. So yeah, that's really what gets me driven. Paints wise, well, we all flit amongst paints. Started off obviously years ago with the Citadel ones, and I've still got some of the older ones that are still in good use. The original ones were by HMG Paints, and then Coat d'Arms, bless them, ended up taking that range on and expanding on it, and I've got quite a bit of Coat d'Arms in front of me. When Foundry hit the market many years ago, I bought into all that. I'm just having to replace some of the original first release paints. And don't ask me how long ago that was. It's got to be at least 15 years ago. It's got to be. I might be wrong on that, but I think it's about 15 years ago. And so I'm just replacing some of them now. So yeah, they're good value for money. Probably a bit pricey for some people. But yeah, I use them a lot. Valio paints, I've got the odd one or two of those. I've got some of the AK Interactive third generation, like them. Availability can be a bit of an issue, and I don't use them that often. So yeah. What else have I got on the bench in front of me? The odd smattering of bits and bobs for certain colours from different manufacturers. Some of them are a pain to get hold of. And then I've got the first wave of Duncan Rhodes Tooth and Coats of paint. Like them, the only issue I have with those is they are expensive. The dropper bottles are an absolute pain to keep clean, and the paint gushes out of them. Never mind a little drop, it sometimes comes out quite heavily, even before you've even squeezed a bit of pressure on the bottle to get a drop out. So yeah, do like them. I've got some of the second wave as well. I will expand on them, but some say the big annoyance is the dropper bottles themselves. I mean, to a degree, AK does it sometimes, and Valio are the worst one for clogging up and drying in the lid. No matter how much you try and clean them or keep on top of them, it does become an issue. That's why for me, most of the time, the Foundry paints and the Coat d'Arms paints are the best. You do get build up in the lid, but just leave it and then just get at it, and it comes out quite easy from around the lid, and then you can reseal the pop quite well. But it does take a while for that to happen, and you'll soon notice when it happens, because the lid won't sit right or the back sits a bit proud, and then all you do is get in there. And I tend to use either the sculpting tool, or I've got a set of tweezers I use for putting my tufts and stuff on my bases. So I tend to use that and obviously clean them after I've done each bottle. So yeah, that's what I tend to do, folks. So yeah, that's my bit of a chat on the hobby and what drives me for figures and why I buy stuff. I mean, paintbrushes, that is, yeah, one of its own. I've been using a couple of Vallejo, ones. They're okay. Amount of painting I do lose the point after a while. I don't think Winsor & Newton Series 7 are as good as they used to be. I used to use them a lot. Yeah, very expensive, but they used to last a long while, especially if you looked after them. Artis Opus, I've had a few, kept them clean and done everything, but usually when you buy them, they've got one long row hair in it. You try and trim it back, you have to be careful that you don't square the end of the point off. And they've not lasted me as good and done everything that they say to look after the brush. So, yeah, not been overly impressed with them at the moment. GW ones are what they are. Basic, ideal for, base coating and chucking crap on your bases and graveling and stuff like that. I don't pay for their expensive range because they're not that good. I think they're well overpriced for what they are. So yeah, folks, that's what determines me for figures, purchases, why I use them, and all that lot. So if you could all leave comments below what drives you, what interests you for buying figures, what quality of figures, what manufacturers you may like. You don't have to agree with me. Feedback would be brilliant because we could probably carry on this conversation again another time. Thanks folks for your time. Again, without you guys, the channel wouldn't exist. And most of all, stay happy, stay safe, and happy gaming. Cheers, folks. Please like, subscribe also. Ta-ra.